Sometimes life changes in a single moment, a moment you never see coming, a moment that breaks your heart open in a way you didn't know was possible. This story begins on a cold winter morning in Montana, where a quiet rancher named Cole Turner thought he was simply heading out to check his fences. What he didn't know was that destiny had already placed something in his path, something small, fragile, beautiful, and about to rewrite his entire life. Some people say kindness is just a word, but for Cole, kindness was a choice he made with no witness, no audience, no applause. And that single choice brought him the greatest joy he'd ever known, and the deepest heartbreak he never saw coming. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Soul Tales, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people who need a little hope and kindness in their day. Now, let's begin. Cole Turner had lived 36 years on the same wide stretch of land his grandfather once tamed with his bare hands. The ranch was peaceful, isolated, and honest work. Cole liked the quiet. It kept him from thinking too much. Life had knocked him around, losing his mother young, watching his father's health fade, and then a woman he once loved leaving town without a goodbye. People had disappointed him enough times that solitude felt safer, but even a quiet life can shake when fate knocks. That morning, snow clung to the ground like a thin white blanket. The sun was barely climbing over the horizon when Cole saddled his old paint horse, Duke, and rode out toward the north pasture. The wind was sharp, the kind that made your eyes water, but Cole didn't complain. Things needed to be done. As he approached the fence line, Duke suddenly stopped, ears pricked. Cole narrowed his eyes. About 50 feet away lay a small black shape, still as stone. At first he thought it was just debris blown in by the storm, but then it moved, barely. Weakly, Cole swung off his horse so fast he nearly slipped. It was a girl, a young woman, maybe 20, 21, curled in on herself in the snow, shivering violently, hands scraped, hair tangled and dark like ink. Her face was pale, lips nearly blue, and on her wrist he noticed a torn hospital bracelet. "Oh, God," Cole breathed. He knelt beside her and tapped her cheek gently. Hey, can you hear me?" Her eyelids fluttered. She tried to speak, but the words came out thin and broken. "Please, don't let me go back." Cole swallowed hard. He didn't know what had happened, but it didn't matter. Nobody deserved to be left alone to die in the cold. "It's all right," he said softly. "You're safe now. I've got you." He wrapped her in his coat, lifted her into his arms, and placed her across Duke's back, keeping her steady as he rode hard toward home. Every bump in the trail made her wince. Every breath she took sounded fragile. When he finally reached his cabin, he carried her inside, started the fire, and warmed blankets. She barely clung to consciousness, whispering things he couldn't understand. Fearful things, painful things. Hours later, after warm soup and steady care, she finally opened her eyes long enough to speak clearly. "My name is Lila," she whispered, a simple name, but the way she said it carried a quiet story of suffering. Over the next 2 days, Lila slowly recovered under Cole's care. He made her tea, cooked for her, gave her one of the guest rooms, and kept his questions gentle. She spoke little at first. Trauma had wrapped around her like a shadow, but kindness has a way of softening even the heaviest fear. Little by little, she told him the truth. Lila had grown up in a broken home in the city. Poverty, violence, a father who disappeared, a mother who drowned her pain in ways that left Lila alone far too young. At 18, she fled, but she ran into worse hands, a controlling boyfriend, manipulation, threats, a night of fear that pushed her to escape, through a window with nothing but her hospital wristband and hope. She'd wandered for hours in the snow, trying to find anyone who would help her. Cars passed, no one stopped, until she collapsed on Cole's ranch land. She called herself Black Beauty jokingly once, explaining her dark hair and the horse novel she loved as a child. Cole smiled at the nickname, though he noticed how her eyes softened when she said it, like she remembered a version of herself she wanted to find again. Cole listened without judgment, without pressure. He wasn't a man of many words, but he offered the safety she'd never known. He gave her space, quiet, warm meals, a door she could close without fear. And for the first time in years, Cole found himself talking too, about his mother's laughter, his father's stubborn pride, the loneliness he'd never admitted out loud. Lila didn't run from his truth. She held it gently. Days turned into weeks. Lila began helping around the ranch, feeding the horses, brushing Duke, learning how to mend small fences. She laughed for the first time in months, a soft, musical sound that filled the cabin with something Cole had forgotten he needed. Warmth, human warmth. There were moments when Cole caught himself watching her, not with desire but with admiration. The way she stood up again and again after life tried to crush her, the way she found beauty in small things, sunsets, warm bread, the sound of Duke snorting when she brushed his nose. But kindness expects nothing in return, and Cole reminded himself of that. She needed safety, not complication. One evening, as the sky glowed orange, Lila stood by the fence watching the horses run. Cole joined her quietly. "You saved my life," she said softly. Cole shook his head. "You saved yourself. I just gave you a place to rest." Lila turned to him, tears shining in her eyes. "No, you showed me what kindness feels like. I didn't know people like you existed." Cole swallowed hard. "I'm just a man trying to do what's right." But Lila shook her head. "No, you're more than that. You're the first man who never asked anything from me." The words hit him deep. Kindness, real kindness, often goes unspoken, but hearing it mattered. Over the next month, Lila's strength returned. She spoke of finding a job, building a future, creating a life she wasn't running from anymore. Cole knew the day she'd leave would come. He told himself he'd be ready, but when the morning arrived, he wasn't. She packed her small bag, hugged Duke, and stepped toward the old pickup Cole offered to drive her into town. Her eyes lingered on the cabin, on the pasture, and finally on him. "Cole," she whispered, "you gave me something I can never repay." "You don't owe me anything," he said. She stepped closer. "I owe you my hope." Her hand touched his chest, light, gentle, grateful. "I'll come back one day," she promised, "not because I have to, but because I want to." Cole nodded, though his throat felt tight. "I'll be here." She smiled, soft, radiant, free. And then she left. Months passed. Spring warmed the land. Cole returned to his quiet routines, but something had changed. Kindness had done what it always does. It had ripple effects. He started helping people more, neighbors, lost travelers, anyone in need. He'd learned something from Lila. When kindness saves someone, it saves you a little too. One warm evening in early June, Cole heard a truck pull up by the barn. He stepped outside. There she was, Lila, stronger, brighter, standing tall with a small suitcase and a smile that carried a lifetime of gratitude. "I kept my promise," she said. Cole felt something in his chest soften, then bloom. "Welcome home, Lila," he whispered, "because sometimes kindness doesn't just save a life. Sometimes it brings a heart back home, and that is the power of kindness."